So been in a Canport last night. Pretty. I know I said yesterday that I was quite impressed with it. The service is just pretty good, and the port itself is just pretty good. Today, however, the weather. I'm just going to quickly pop you outside. This is why I come to the port. I don't do it like. I don't do it loosely sometimes, but there's no way I wanted to be out in that. Anyway, the engine is what I should be looking at today, but because I'm going to have to take the engine door off and the side door and everything else to get into it, and I'm going to have to like clean underneath the floorboards, I've decided I'm going to sort this table out. So before I put this on it, I'm not sure if it was like, it said teak, but it was like a gel kind of thing, and it's horrible to get off, and it looks horrible. But I've made some progress on doing that, and then I'm going to sand all of that. The sides are actually teak, and then that's just plywood. So what I'm going to do is stain the plywood and just varnish the can't think of the word, the edges, and then it should be like two different types of wood, brown, and it should look quite nice. But I'm going to get on with the sanding, and I'll show you when I have finished. Right, that's the hard part done. We've just given it a wipe down, and then the fun part. I always enjoy the part where you put the varnish on. I'm quite enjoying that there's a bit of effect there to the wood. I think this table's going to look pretty good after. We're in Canport still. Yesterday we sanded the top of the table. I'll show you that in a bit. It looks a bit better. Could it look better? Probably. It rained and some annoying water drops came through the hatch and just got on the table, ruined the varnish a little bit. But the amount of dust I created literally everywhere. I'm not sanding in the boat ever again, he says. I definitely will. Anyway, the engine. So there's fuel obviously getting in there, air getting in there somewhere. I just need to find out where. It's not going to be so easy to film this because it's obviously dark back there, but I don't think it's the filters, or I'd be really surprised if it was the filters. I'd fit like one of them bulb pumps just before like the lift tap, because when I was trying to bleed the engine after it not run for years and years and years, the lift tap was just, I was pumping it and know what was happening. So I've fit one of them bulb pumps to just do it a bit quicker. So I'm wondering if maybe that could have caused the problem. The issue is, there's no easy way of getting right in back to trace the whole fuel line. Like, I'd have to crawl through the back of the boat down here, and that ideally doesn't need to happen. I'm hoping I don't need to do that. And then this is where it's leaking as well. Like, I took this off, snipped the end of this pipe, put it back on to see if that was it, but I just think the problem is that pipe under there, like the bottom part of the fresh water, salt water pump, I think because that's a little bit corroded around the side, it's still not getting a grip. That obviously isn't fuel though, so that's not what's stopping it. Right, I'm gonna have a look at that pump first and see if I can find a way to light up back there. Need a torch. Right, so the leak, I've taken the pipe back off. I'm gonna just try put some of this white tape that you normally use for like regular plumbing around this, and then see if we just have a bit of a better, because you know they were really tight, but it was still dribbling water out of the top. So my thinking with this is just if there's any like little nooks or anything in this tape might just make it a bit of a tighter seal. It's not nice in there. Quite hard to tell now if they're just wet or if I'm tightening them up, it's just made it wet again. So we found was a bit of a scuff on the tube there. It's hard to tell if air could have got into it because no fuel was coming out of it, but for now I've just tried to like tape that. I know that's not a long-term solution, but I'm going to try run it and see, because that, if it was just a tiny little hole, that tape might just be enough for now to know if that was the problem. That tape might just be enough for now to know if that was the problem. So I'm going to start the engine, see if I've doing terrible at this today. So I'm going to start the engine now, see if the leak stopped, and then while we've got the torch, I'm going to just see if water is leaking from anywhere other than there, because there was a lot of water for the sake of just a drop. Although I think it was more of a like constant stream rather than a drop, so we'll see. If not from there, I don't know where else this fuel could be leaking air into it. So it's actually coming from there. That's in full rev, and normally that cuts it out quite quick. We'll give it a minute and see. Don't know if you can see how much that boat over there, or all them boats over there, are moving. Probably not, because I'm moving too. I don't really know how it works, but honestly anchoring has been more comfortable than this. Right, so excusing the absolute mess because the boat is in the biggest carnage I think it's actually ever been in. What we're doing today is we've got all the parts. We got some new sanding strips yesterday, and this used to be where the cooker was, but it used to just have like a little hob one with a gas bottle attached underneath, but then I bought the oven, which doesn't fit in here, but that's quite a big space, and I'm just trying to make it look like more of a cupboard because it's just looked like a mess ever since. So I had a bit of wood that was from something else I was doing, which is just big enough to make like a cupboard door here, which will come up, but I have now like sanded all of the parts. I've put these two brackets in for a bit of wood to sit on there. I'm just going to stain the bits of wood now that are outside, put it all together, and then I'll show you how it looks. I nearly just didn't record this, but I really should, because it's been, I don't know, a good half day's work, so I may as well show what it was like before and after. Also yesterday I was on with the plumbing, so that I can plug the boat direct in to the port basically. I've been doing that for a couple of months. So we're still on with sanding. We need to get the engine looked at, but just while I had sand everywhere anyway, it just made sense just to carry on. So we've taken the electric panel off. We had it off to look at it anyway, but that's now sanded. So we're going to get that stained, and then we're going to varnish everything all at once later on. then we're going to varnish everything at once later on. Yesterday we got this little table that I added. It's just for the laptop really. Not sure how necessary it is, but I quite like the idea of just having the laptop set up somewhere and plugged in, so that's what that will be. And then we have now made some big progress over on the kitchen. This back cupboard now opens, and then where the cooker was now has that, quite handy for the pans. And then we're going to put a bit of trim down there because that bit of wood worked quite big enough. The plumbing's alright, there's a few little bits I just need to finish off where it leaks. So we're going to get this stained and put back on. Whether we do the other side, I mean that one's just taken ages to sand, and I do really need to get working on the engine. And I've run out of the tougher sand strips, which are the ones I need really, otherwise it just takes ages. So I'm going to have to get some more of them probably before I tackle that. So what else have we done? Oh, and we have a cockpit table, but I couldn't get any screws to fit. It was a silly fitting, so I had to do some more of this filler for the little hole. So I put the filler around the table, and that's now secure. So that's good because it's not really been used since I bought it, and it was another expense that probably didn't really need, but it is quite nice when the cockpit doesn't look like this. Sit out with a table. Trick now is to remember which wire went where. Whoa. Right. You had a 6 here. Starting in that order. Do that boat rocking now. 2. in the fridge maybe. Yes. Yes. Number 3. And then the big brown wire went into there. Again, corroded-ish. It's gone off. Sometimes when that happens I have to just take the negative off and put it back on the battery terminal, so hopefully that's what's happened. So it's a sunny Saturday in Cansport. The wind stopped and I'm having zero luck with this engine. Something I thought of though, I let the fuel run quite low. I don't have a gauge, so I can never tell just how much how much fuel is in there. But there's some. But I'm wondering now if what's causing the air maybe is running off the low amount, and maybe where it sucks it up, it's sucking air because the thing it sucks up from maybe doesn't go right to the bottom. And I've got, like I say, a bulb which I can squeeze. That bulb should go hard once the fuel, and even if there was air in there, now I don't really know, this is just what I'm imagining, but even if there was air in there, when you squeeze that bulb, you would think, even with the air, it'd still go quite hard, and it was going quite hard. And now I'm wondering if the fuel's run out a bit because it's just not going hard. So we're going to get some more fuel, put that in, try bleed the engine again, and then see if that makes any difference. Everywhere I go, this tractor's making a loud noise as well. So we found a shipyard where the big bins would be, but we can't get in. I bet there's all sorts of treasures in there, like it's full as well. There's loads of people in there pulling probably hoses out. Pulling hoses out probably, which I could do with, and there's probably all sorts. Oh, anyway, next step, need to find where the fuel pumps are. It's not that like I'm not allowed in there unless the rubbish parts are separate somewhere, because yesterday, one of the days anyway, I've got a freezer on the boat which I just need to get rid of because it just takes up too much room really. And I asked if I could get rid of it, and they said yeah, at the shipyard, so that wouldn't suggest like I can't access the bin part of the shipyard, but maybe that's somewhere else. Around here is where the ferries go to the little islands, so it's not going to be around here. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I could get in the shipyard. Maybe I could get in the shipyard with the dinghy
I don't have any fuel for that either, so. Okay, so here's the ferry port where you can take a ferry over to the islands we was at in the previous episode. But yeah, I'm not seeing any way to get into the bins. We're just gonna have to call this one a no-go. The thing is, I haven't seen a fuel pump anywhere else in the port, and I imagine that's also in the shipyard part. So I don't know why I can't get in. Maybe go to the port, tell them I need to stay for another night, take the little bit of irritants they're going to have that I didn't go in yesterday. And I didn't mean to not go in yesterday. If the engine had ran yesterday, I'd have gone and stayed at anchor last night, but in the time it took me to get that well, not working, because it's still not working, but in the time I was messing around with that, I didn't see the time, and then it was too late to go and pay. We'll go see him, and maybe then we can get away into the shipyard part, or at least fuel, because the engine's the priority. The bilge pump that I've been trying to put is also important, because I can't fix that leak on the engine right now, because I'm going to have to buy some new gaskets and they're going to be expensive. So I've just put in a bilge pump in there, which should at least allow me while I'm at anchor just to pump the water out so the floor stops getting wet. Right, so went to go get fuel, and we have to go to the land petrol station again because I can't get to the fuel pumps. I could potentially get over there in the dinghy, but honestly it's quite far and it's quite a busy lane that I'd have to go through, so rowing over there is probably not the best idea. There's ferries going in and out as well, so I'm gonna get on the bike, go get some diesel, and then put it in the tank, try re-bleed the engine, and if that works, we're gonna go and get a beer to celebrate. If it doesn't work, we're gonna go get a beer because it didn't work, and we're gonna be feeling a bit sad. So either way, we're probably gonna have a Saturday beer later on, unless the better part of my brain stops me from doing that, because I shouldn't really go get a beer. But let's hope we can get it working and get back out at anchor. Even though we have disasters out there, it's cheap disasters usually. It's better, not so much wind anymore. Yeah. Just get some gas oil.
Ah, yeah. You find you a problem in the engine?
No, I don't think not yet. I tried to get out the air.
Yeah.
But however, and then I changed the pipe,
Yeah.
and now I have like a little bulb, you know, but it's not going hard. So I think maybe there's just too little fuel maybe in the tank.
Maybe.